Morning, gang. Well, here we are. Last day of freedom in the United States. 24 hours from now, we enter the age of socialism in the U.S. 245 years of capitalism and democracy flushed away. Tomorrow at noon Eastern, Joe Biden officially becomes the 46th president of the United States. What does that mean for us? Well, Biden's already stated that in the first 10 days in office, he's going to sign a bunch of executive orders. And if you haven't picked him up, here's what's going on. Okay. First, he's going to return the U.S. to the Paris Climate Agreement. You know, that global pact on cutting carbon emissions because, God forbid, the earth get greener. Okay. I beat this horse to death on why this is backwards. If you're new, go watch my video entitled If a Tree Falls in the Woods. There I completely debunk climate change according to the Paris gang. The grand solar minimum, that's actually factual, and that should be the real concern. Not that we can do anything about it, but that's true, okay? The next one, repeal the travel ban on mostly Muslim majority countries. Because, hey, in middle of, COVID, we really need more people traveling from foreign countries into the United States, right? And what better place to let people come from? Okay. He's going to reinstate the Iran nuclear deal. You remember that one? The deal where we gave Iran $1.7 billion so they wouldn't enrich uranium. The one that they didn't adhere to anyway, but, your tax dollars got given away. This is a fun one. Mandating the wearing of masks on federal property and when traveling interstate. Note the last part, traveling interstate. Remember when I said a while back we might have to have internal passports to travel across state lines? A bunch of people told me, that'll never happen. Well, if we mandate masks on people traveling interstate, how's it going to be enforced? Checkpoints at borders, maybe? I'm just saying. Okay. How about the extension to nationwide restrictions on evictions and foreclosures due to the pandemic? Now, I totally agree. This is a good idea to help tenants, though the problem is the bills still come due eventually. It does nothing for landlords who still have to pay the bills, like the mortgages, the repair and upkeep, the taxes. Maybe letting people go back to work and pay their own way would be a better idea. But hey, that's not the socialist way anyway, right? Then there's some gobbledygook on promoting racial equity and supporting other underserved communities. My guess is that's just a pandering comment to BLM because it's so vague, only sheep would believe it anyway. How about the reuniting families separated at the border executive order? That one's in there too. In other words, we're opening the borders wide to let anyone and everyone in. Because right now that's what we need too. More people for the government to have to subsidize. And then, of course, the coup de grace, the $2 trillion stimulus extension, more printed money out of thin air that'll drive up inflation. A pittance is given to the public and all the pork that Nancy Pelosi wanted will now be fully funded. Okay. So what does this all mean for us? Okay. I'll tell you what, if you haven't got everything you need to ride out at least 3 months at home, you need to shut off the computer right now and go to the store. Okay, get whatever food, water, clothing, etc. you're going to need to ride out a 3-month storm in your house, first 100 days. Okay. Another thing you need to get while you're out, cash. All right. I can't tell you how much because that all depends on what you think you're going to need to spend. But I would say this, at least the equivalent of 1 month's bills. All of them, if you can. Well, we've all heard the stories of the grid going down or the internet shutting down. It's a possibility. I personally don't see it happening. I don't think it's probable, but it is possible, so I can't rule it out. But remember this, no internet, no electricity means no ATMs, no access to your bank account online, no access to your money at a bank either, okay? You can also bet that nobody's going to take a check. Cash would be king, at least for a short time. That also means, do you have ways to heat the house, cook, bathe, use the bathroom? No power means no utilities like city water, or for those of us in the country, can't run a well pump, okay? No electric heat, no stove, no oven, no microwave. This is one we've all talked about before, about generators and solar backups, et cetera, et cetera. Have you practiced using your sun oven or your propane kitchen stove? Or are they still in the original packaging? God knows we've all mentioned that, saying practice with this stuff. You might need to use it. Okay. See, these are the things that could very well happen in the next 24 hours. All right. There's 30,000 troops in D.C. right now. There's National Guard at every state capital. All it takes is one or two incidents and all hell breaks loose. Could it be someone with a legitimate beef? Could it be an actor pretending to be someone they're not? Well, heard a lot about that. Okay, that's what I mean, folks. 330 million people in this country, and all it takes is 2 or 3 to go goofy. And the world we know today is completely different tomorrow. Now, for some of you in cities, this could get really ugly really quick. Is your bug out bag in the car? Does the family all know what needs to be grabbed fast? Do you have 3 different routes to get out of the city? I mean, after all, you're not going to be the only one trying to leave. And, God knows there'll be traffic jams everywhere. If you've got back roads or something you can take rather than the interstate, might be a good idea. If you're at work and your spouse or your kids are at home, do you have a plan for everybody to get together and get moving? I mean, are you going to meet somewhere, 2 cars, however it would be? Okay. If you live in the country, like me, okay, you'll have a little bit more time. But guess where all those city folk are going? Okay, yep, your backyard. Are you ready for an onslaught of people in your area who don't know anybody, don't have anywhere to go, and inevitably in a few days are going to be hungry because they only have so much in the car, even if they're preppers, okay? They're not moving their entire pantry in the back of the SUV. The stores will be cleaned out in a couple of days, okay? That you can count on. So basically what I'm saying is if you don't have it by the end of the day today, your chances of getting whatever you need are going to get slimmer real quick starting tomorrow. All right. Now, I'm not trying to be an alarmist by any means. I'm trying to let you know what very well could happen 24 hours from now and what the plans are by the new administration in the first 10 days. I've said it many times in many videos, Democrats can't think past the tip of their nose. They never consider what the after effects are to every one of their silly ideas. You need to remember this. You're going to be completely on your own if shit hits the fan. I mean, it's 11:59 on the SHTF clock. No one's coming to help you. If this all pans out like most of us think it will, the ones that everyone thinks would help, the government, is actually going to be on the other side. Remember Ronald Reagan's 9 scariest words? I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Tattoo that on the inside of your eyelids so you don't ever forget what he said. If your idea of help is what we saw in the Louisiana Superdome after Hurricane Katrina, then by all means, sit back and relax today, okay? If you like a warm meal, a warm bed, and your freedom, being able to do what you want, get what you need today, okay? On the surface, you can look at the list of executive orders I just rattled off and say, well, none of this is going to affect me, okay? Sure. And most likely, none of those will affect you directly. But what about the people it does affect directly? They get pissed off and do something, and it snowballs from there. Think I'm kidding? Look at what happened in Minneapolis or Louisville last year. You got all the stuff in Minneapolis. Next thing you know, you've got Chaz and Chop, and you've got Seattle and Portland going on. They weren't anywhere near Minneapolis, okay? Snowball effect. All it takes is one nut job to shoot a cop or a National Guardsman, and the floodgates open wide. Give it a few hours, and once the media starts fanning the flames, well, you know the rest. That's just the first 10 days, folks. Just think, only 1,451 days after this to go. Pinball out.